So thank you for joining us today. I am Caitlin Giles McCormick here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Today's session is an informational overview on the Food Retail Innovation and Delivery Grant Program, also known as FRIDG. Very, very cute and accurate and awesome name for this new program. To officially get us started, I'm going to introduce NJEDA's Senior Advisor of Food Security and Innovation, Rusha Gadre. Rusha?
Thank you, Caitlin. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. Before we get started, here's a quick agenda on what we will be covering with you all today. We've done the welcome and introduction. We'll go over the background, the program overview, the resources that we've developed to help you successfully complete your application. We'll also be walking you through quickly through the application so you know what to expect when you are ready to fill it out. And then we'll leave you with some key reminders so that you can successfully get your application in. Next slide. My name is Rusha Gadre. I'm the Senior Advisor for Food Security and Innovations. With me today, the co-presenter is Brian Todd, Senior Advisor, Food Desert Relief. You will be hearing from him more about the program and the application process later in today's presentation. Next slide. Before we get started with the FRIDG program, I want to quickly give you an introduction to NJEDA. The New Jersey Economic Development Authority serves as the state's principal agency for driving economic growth. EDA is committed to making New Jersey a national model for inclusive and sustainable economic development by focusing on key strategies to help build a strong and dynamic communities, create good jobs for New Jersey residents, and provide pathways to a stronger and fairer economy. Through partnerships with diverse range of stakeholders such as yourselves, the EDA creates and implements initiatives to enhance the economic vitality and quality of life in the state and strengthen New Jersey's long-term economic competitiveness. So we thank you for your partnership now and in the future. Just to give you a little bit of a background on where the economic security team fits in the EDA's portfolio, here's the work that we are committed to, which is focusing on food security for the state of New Jersey. We have a few tools ongoing in our toolkit now, building our food security portfolio. The first one being the Food Desert Relief Act, which is $240 million in tax credits, which will be used in the form of helping new supermarkets be developed in communities that don't have one, creating grants and loans and technical assistance programs to increase access to nutritious food, and develop new approaches that alleviate food deserts. Just to give you a quick update, on April 12th, 2023, the EDA board approved the rules for the new Food Desert Relief Tax Credit Program, which will help incentivize the development and operation of new supermarkets in food desert communities. You can get more information about this program on our website. We'll be sharing all the links with you towards the end of this presentation. In addition to approving the rules for the tax credit program, our board also approved the auction. So the auction will help us generate cash for additional grant programs that will be directed towards food security programs. Sustain and Serve New Jersey, which is now in its phase 3, we've awarded $57.5 million in grant program for nonprofits to purchase meals from New Jersey-based restaurants and distribute those meals to community residents at no cost. We also have the Food Security Planning Grant Program, which makes up to $1.5 million in funding available to local governments to use a distressed asset in their community and propose a plan on how that distressed asset could be used towards addressing food insecurity. We very recently, in March of this year, our board also approved a memorandum of agreement between the EDA and Commission on Science, Information and Technology for the Food and Agriculture Research Development Program. This is a pilot initiative which will fund up to $750,000 in grants for early stage companies focused on developing innovative solutions to address food insecurity. Last but not least, the reason why we are here today, our Food Retail Innovation in Delivery Grant Program, or as we like to call it, FRIDG, will make up to $2.5 million in grant funding available to assist New Jersey food retailers to purchase lockers. These are temperature-controlled food lockers to expand grocery delivery and food access within the food desert communities. So our focus is going to be on the FRIDG program, but if you choose to learn about our other programs, they are on our website. Before we dig into the FRIDG program, I just want to give you a quick recap of what the Food Desert Relief Act is. The Food Desert Relief Act is a part of the NJ Economic Recovery Act of 2020. It's a package of tax incentives, financing, and grant programs that Governor Murphy signed into law in January of 2021 to address the economic hardships that were created because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The aim remains the same, to build a stronger and fairer New Jersey economy. The Food Desert Relief Act, which was amended in 2022, allows us to focus on four main things. One is facilitate the development and construction and sustainable operations of new supermarkets and grocery stores, strengthen existing community assets by equipping them with necessary equipment and infrastructure to provide healthier food options, help retailers transition from in-store to online usage of benefits such as SNAP and WIC, and last but not the least, identify and foster innovative solutions to alleviate food insecurity, where our FRIDG program aligns in full capacity. Next slide. The Food Desert Relief Act directed us, the EDA, to work with DCA, Department of Community Affairs, and Department of Agriculture to work together in identifying 50 food desert communities. If you look at the traditional definition of food desert community, it says if there's lack of a full service grocery store, it becomes a food desert community. But we know, and we were very informed through the RFI process, that there were many other factors that need to be considered when defining a food desert community. So through an extensive research and analysis process, we identified over 40 factors that contribute towards what a food desert community looks like. These were then put into 5 main buckets, as you can see on the screen, which is the food retail environment, demographic, economic factors, health factors, and community factors. After a very rigorous data-driven analysis, these factors were weighed and helped us understand what a food desert community, what signals towards a food desert community, and it helped us rank the 50 food desert communities in the state of New Jersey. There is a very detailed methodology around this process, which can be accessed on our website. So please feel free to do that. But on the next slide, you can see how we've ranked the food desert communities from 1 to 50 for the state of New Jersey. We can only after 3 years go back and add another food desert community to this list. But for this year, we'll be working with, this year and moving forward, we'll be working with the first 50. What we want you to focus on and know as you move forward with the application process and other programs that we'll have, if you see an asterisk around with any of these food desert communities, so say for example, Atlantic City or Ventnor, it means that the entirety of the municipality is included in the food desert community. In most cases, an asterisk, a food desert community does not include the whole municipality. So please make sure that when you use a mapping tool to look for a food desert community, you understand what the boundaries are and where what composes food desert community. Next slide. So that was a very quick introduction to who we are and what our focus has been thus far as it relates to the Food Desert Relief Act and overall our food security programs. I'm now going to transition the presentation over to Brian Todd, who will dig deeper into the FRIDG program and help answer any questions that you might have through the Q&A. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Rucha, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our overview of the FRIDG program, which we're very proud to get launched. I'll go through a few slides talking about the program and then delve a little bit into the application. As Rucha mentioned, this is the Food Retail Innovation and Delivery Grant, a great acronym of FRIDG, so that's how we'll be designating it moving forward. But basically the tenets of the program are that we will subsidize the cost of self-contained temperature-controlled lockers for food retailers to place within the designated food desert communities, providing up to $250,000. Again, these must be placed in the designated food desert communities. And as Rucha noted, on our website is a map. You can type in a specific address that you might have in mind to find out and to determine for sure that it is in one of those FDCs. The reason for this is to increase deliveries into food desert communities where residents may not have access to a grocery store. As everyone knows, online shopping has increased tremendously over the past few years, accelerated by the pandemic, where currently about 21% of retail food sales are done online. We'll be targeting retailers that are already certified to accept SNAP benefits online. And indeed, that is a requirement of the program, that retailers must accept SNAP benefits online to allow for low-income SNAP beneficiaries in food desert communities to place those online orders in locker units. The program will serve as a limited time pilot to help inform future programming under the Food Desert Relief Act. As Rucha noted, it is a $2.5 million program right now. Who will be eligible for FRIDG? FRIDG and the ability to get the grants to help pay for these refrigerated lockers is only available to food retailers authorized by USDA and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, better known as SNAP, benefits online. The applicants must be an independent supermarket or independent supermarket operator, cooperative, mass merchandiser, or warehouse club. You must have a physical retail location in New Jersey. Of course, that location does not have to be in a food desert. It can be anywhere in the state. You must be able to service and make grocery deliveries to that locker in a New Jersey food desert community. And you must be in good standing with our sister agencies, including the Division of Taxation, Department of Environmental Protection, and the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Again, how much funding does FRIDG provide? As I mentioned, it can be up to $250,000, but there are several factors that work into that. The subsidies range from 30 to 50% of the total cost, inclusive of equipment, delivery, and installation of the self-contained temperature-controlled lockers. Again, for the installation, that would be subject to prevailing wage, which I will get into if those costs are $2,000 or more. And the work must be completed by a public works contractor approved by the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce. You will have the ability to stack bonuses, which I'll talk about in a moment, to increase your grant award. But again, no award will exceed $250,000 or 50% of the cost, whatever the lesser of those two is. We will cover prospective costs for the purchases not yet made. If you've already purchased a refrigerated food locker, you would not be eligible for the program. You must not have made that purchase already. And then it will result in a single disbursement to approved applicants will be made after providing proof of equipment delivery and installation. Anyone receiving the grant will be allowed 12 months for the delivery and installation of the equipment, with 2 6-month extension periods before the funds are dispersed. These are the stackable bonuses that you would be able to apply for. There is a 30% base award. And then if your locker is located within one of the food desert communities ranked within the top 10 statewide, per the list that was shown earlier, and again is available on the website, which is www.njeda.com/FRIDG, FRIDG /. So that would be the first 5% bonus. You can get an additional 5% bonus for if you're providing evidence of a partnership agreement with a social service community-based organization to locate the locker on site. If you waive SNAP deliveries fees for SNAP customers alone, that's a 5% bonus. Or if you waive delivery fees for any deliveries to the locker, that would be a 10% bonus. Obviously, these two bonuses could not be stacked. You would either get a 5% or a 10% if you decided to do either of those. What equipment can be purchased through SNAP, through FRIDG? This is a relatively new technology, but these self-contained temperature-controlled lockers will be purchased with funding from FRIDG, must have some minimum standards such as a temperature span of at least 2 settings, a system that sends special codes to the user once the order is delivered via text, email, or an app push notification, the ability to be placed outside, a minimum of 4 lockers which will automatically open when the person inputs their code, a modular system so more lockers can be stocked or added as needed, mechanisms to ensure food safety, freshness, and contamination prevention, and security features to prevent theft. One thing to note is NJEDA will not provide a list of approved vendors. That will be up to the applicants to be responsible for choosing the vendor and equipment that meet the criteria. Where can one of these lockers be located through FRIDG? Again, they have to be within the geographic boundaries of an NJEDA food desert community. Using that map tool on our website is the best way to do that. And again, as Rucha noted, the community, just because the community is in our list, for most cases, it's not the entire community, it's only a section of it. Thus, a city like Newark has 4 distinct food desert communities. It's not the entire city. Lockers must be placed in a location that is accessible to the general public at least 12 hours a day, 7 days per week. They may be placed indoors or outdoors, and the bonuses may be granted for lockers placed on site with a community-based organization, as we noted. That could be a food pantry, soup kitchen, library, community center, as long as it's located within that food desert community. Here's a sample of what an application, say, Betty's Supermarket was a SNAP authorized retailer outside 2 nearby food desert communities in Camden County. They used our mapping tool to find out that these 2 locations would be eligible for a fridge locker. Application 1, the project is valued at $200,000 in the North Central and South Camden Woodland food desert community and would be placed downtown. Application 2 is a project valued at $400,000 in the Camden East Pennsauken FDC via partnership agreement that the locker will be placed at a local emergency food provider. And they also committed to waive delivery fees for SNAP orders online. Once the applicant submitted their application, found out it was eligible, Betty's Supermarket would be eligible to receive the following. For the first application, $70,000, which would be 35% of $200,000, which includes the 30% base plus a 5% bonus for being in that top food desert community. For the second, they would receive $180,000 or 45% of that $400,000 total, which includes 30% base plus the 5% bonus for being in the top FDC, a 5% bonus for a social service partnership, and a 5% bonus for SNAP delivery fee waiver. Obviously, if they decided to make all deliveries to that locker, they could be eligible for 5% more. The process for applications, we will launch the application at 10 a.m. on April 25th at our website, again, at njeda.com/fridg, FRIDG/. They'll be accepted on a rolling basis and reviewed in the order they're received. Applicants will have to provide a non-refundable application fee via credit card of $1,000. Again, this is non-refundable, therefore all the more certain to make sure that that locker is located within a food desert community. The applications must be complete to be evaluated, including payment of the application fee. As it is, the program will go for until October 25th, 2024, or until funds are exhausted. An application will only be taken for one location within a food desert community, and prospective applicants should again use that map. A single applicant can submit applications for multiple FDCs, but they must be through separate applications. And EDA, we will make 1 grant award per food desert community, but if there is still funding available after that October 25th, 2024 date, we may award remaining funding for additional applications within one of those already funded FDCs. This kind of walks through exactly, how the process will work. Obviously, the food retailer, you would go out and seek a quote for a locker and then identify where it's going to be placed. You'd apply to FRIDG, which I will walk through that application shortly. You pay the $1,000 application fee. If everything is in order, the application is approved, then the retailer would be able to place their order for the locker for delivery within an FDC. The locker would be delivered or installed within 1 year of grant approval. And then once it is installed and working, NJEDA will issue disbursement to the food retailer. And you will also have to make sure that it has any necessary site control, such as local permits or lease agreements. Then once it is in place, the customers in the food desert community will be able to make their online orders using the address of that locker as their delivery location. The retailer will make the delivery. The resident will pick up the grocery order. That will complete the transaction. The other thing we will be asking of the retailers is a report of key metrics annually, which will go into some detail, but will be available on our website as well, what those details are. Post-approval requirements, as I said, the authority, we will make one single award when proof of equipment and delivery and installation is provided. If installation costs are valued at $2,000 or more, again, NJEDA will need to verify that the work was completed but using prevailing wage, and will also be in accordance with New Jersey prevailing wage and affirmative action requirements prior to disbursement. Again, the required annual reporting will be 3 years, but will include the location and placement of the locker, the number of delivery orders, the percentage of deliveries made using SNAP, and then for certain bonuses, there will be other requirements, such as reporting the status of the partnership with your social service organization, if you have one, the number of delivery fees that were waived for individuals using SNAP, or the number of delivery fees waived overall for all payment types. EDA will have the option to recapture if you don't meet the obligations as required within 3 years. If you do not do so in the first year, we will seek to recapture 100% of the amount of the grant. If in 2 years, it would be 60%, and within 3 years, 30%. Being we have a bonus program, if a grantee received a bonus but falls out of compliance with one of those terms, we do have the authority to impose a scaled recapture of the bonus amount only. There are additional resources to make sure that you have available when you apply. And again, you can get more information of these via the website and by clicking on the links. It would be a tax clearance certificate. Again, you'll need your USDA SNAP information. You'll have to provide the 7-digit FNS SNAP number and an equipment purchase quote, which would be evidence that of a purchase order made prior to the date of application. A quote for the estimated cost of the locker, I'm sorry. And then you'll need the locker site documents, such as if there is a deed or property tax statement if you own the property, or a completed certification for landlord if you do not own the property, which will be available online as well. If you require construction prior to application, applicant must provide quotes on it for any work done. And for a community-based organization agreement, you'll have to supply an MOU or some other verification of a partnership agreement with that organization to receive that 5% bonus. Additional resources that will be available are application checklist, frequently asked questions, food desert community designations, again, which were shown at the beginning, the food desert map. There'll be a sample application, a sample of a tax clearance certificate, and walking you through that process to get one, and a legal questionnaire form. Right now, I'll go through the application walkthrough, but again, just to remind everyone, for the Q&A, if you have any questions, use the Q&A tab on the bottom of your screen and submit them, and we'll do our best to answer your questions at the end. For the application, for the sample application, you'll be Coming to a welcome page. Important tip to remember, once you start out, click the save in the beginning so you'll create a usable link that'll save your progress as you go along. That way, if you have to go back, if there's a computer glitch, you get knocked out of the program, you can come back and continue the application where you started. So once you read the welcome page in sections, just click next to begin the application. All applicants must be, again, as I noted before, an independent supermarket, supermarket operator, cooperative retailer, chain supermarket, mass merchandiser. Applicants that are not authorized by USDA to accept online SNAP benefits will not be eligible for the program. So you'll be asked to provide your 7-digit FNS number here and a copy of your SNAP license as proof of eligibility. Again, this program is also not open to food retailers without a physical location in New Jersey. They must have at least one physical location in the state. On the next page, we will collect information for the primary point of contact. Oops, sorry about that. Primary point of contact. Ensure that the email provided is correct, because that's how we will be reaching out to you. And this email will also be used for the fee correspondence and any other communication. And again, reminder to use the click the save feature so that you can save the application as you move along. Authorized user, authorized point of contact. If the primary point of contact is not the authorized representative for the retailer, you'll be asked to fill out the contact information for the authorized representative. Sorry there, chief executive. If the primary point of contact is not the chief executive officer, owner, or equivalent for the business, you'll be asked to fill out the contact information for the chief executive or owner or equivalent. Media contact, if the primary point of contact is not the media contact for the business, you'll be asked to designate a media contact. If yes, you'll be asked to fill out the media contact information. You do not have to designate a media contact, however. The applicant information, in this section will collect information about the registered business that's applying for the program. This includes typical information such as the entity type, the date it was established, the entity formation documents, your federal and state identification numbers, the NAICS code, your New Jersey tax clearance certificate, which will be required prior to approval. And if you're involved in religious activities or are religiously affiliated, an additional religious activity questionnaire will be required. Also, there is the cannabis question. New Jersey state law prohibits certain cannabis licensees and certain personal use cannabis employers from receiving or continuing to receive most financial incentive awards. So you'll have to answer this, yes or no. Diversity questions. We'd really like to know more about the diversity of your organization. This has no impact on eligibility for assistance, and providing information is optional and just to be used for tracking purposes only. You can, within each of the questions, you can prefer not to answer if that is the case or if the question isn't applicable to your organization. In this section, we'd like to learn more about the food retailer and the eligibility requirements. Again, we ask what category the applicant falls under, whether a supermarket, cooperative retailer, chain supermarket, or mass merchandiser. Again, what is the retail address listed as your SNAP FNS location? License, that location, many have more than one location in the state of New Jersey. You only need to provide one. We suggest you provide the one closest to the lot where you would wish the locker to be placed. And if you're planning to meet the requirement of placing your locker in one of the top 10 food designated communities, please note that the locker must be placed within the geographic boundaries of that FDC using the provided mapping tool. This information about the project in this section will ask for equipment information regarding the self-contained lockers. Basically, questions I've kind of touched on before, but further down the page, you'll be asked to confirm whether or not your equipment meets the criteria, such as having a temperature span of 2 settings, an integrative system that sends a code to the user once they place an order, the ability to be placed outside, a minimum of 4 lockers that will automatically open when the person inputs their code, modular systems so they can be added as needed, mechanisms to ensure food safety, freshness, and contamination, and security features to prevent theft. Well, equipment provider address should refer to the main headquarters address in the U.S. The fridge installation site address must be a location in New Jersey. Note on the this is the project again. Note on equipment purchase quotes: evidence of any signed contract, purchase order, or deposit for the purchase of temperature-controlled lockers made prior to the date of application will result in declination. So again, you cannot have purchased the locker before applying. Numbers from your purchase quotes should match the estimated cost figures that you were asked to provide in installation and delivery later in the project financing section of the application. So make sure you have the same information in front of you. If you have photos of the temperature controlled locker you plan to purchase, please upload them here as well. In the project site details subsection, we want to know where you plan to install the locker and that you will have site access for the 3-year grant period if you're approved. And if you select one of the top 10 locations, of course, you'd be eligible for that 5% bonus as long as the award would not exceed $250,000. If you own the property, the site that you propose to install the self-contained locker in, select yes to this question. An upload field will appear for you to provide a deed, property tax statement, or mortgage payment statement supporting documentation. If you don't own the property, an upload field will appear asking you to provide a signed certification from the property owner or landlord for permission. For this, you'll need to complete the landlord certification form that can be found in the application as well, and then upload it in the area that will appear. And again, note that installation costs with the award of construction contract of $2,000 or more is subject to prevailing wage and affirmative action requirements, and work must be done by a public works contractor registered with the New Jersey Department of Labor. A list of public work contractors will be found in the application, and you'll be asked to describe any of the site modifications and upload any accompanying quotes for installation costs that are $2,000 or more. Project financing. Here we'll be asking you to provide the cost estimates. That will be the basis for your award, again, using the information, some of which you entered earlier. You'll also have the opportunity to select the bonuses, and if approved for the FRIDG grant and subject to compliance review. Estimated installation costs must include any anticipated additional preparation costs. And if the FDC you selected was within the top 10 statewide for the project proposal section, you'll automatically be considered for the 5% bonus. If you did not select an FDC in the top 10 in the previous page, you will not have the option to apply for that 5% bonus, of course. If you'd like to commit to waive delivery fees online purchases, you will be given a choice between 2 options. The first is to waive delivery fees for SNAP online purchases only. The second is to waive delivery fees for all deliveries made through the lockers. The SNAP online purchase one would give you 5%. The waiving all delivery fees would give you a 10% bonus. If you're not being considered for the top 10 FDC bonus and don't wish to apply for any other bonuses, you must check the box both confirming this decision. So therefore you would only be eligible for the 30% amount. If you wish to apply for one or more of the bonuses, including the 5% bonuses you selected, you must select the box at the bottom, acknowledging the bonus acknowledgement at the bottom of the page. Plan of operation. Here, what we want to ensure the final eligibility requirements are being met. Well, it must be possible to place the locker outside must be available. The applicant, if you plan to place the locker indoors, explain in the next section how you plan to have access to residents in an equitable manner. And a reminder that you will have to make it accessible to the general public at least 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, prevailing wage, this is the page confirming that if you have construction activities of $2,000 or more under the FRIDG program, in order to proceed with the application, you must acknowledge any construction on this project undertaken is subject to that prevailing wage requirement. Applicant representation, if the individual filling out the application is employed by the organization that is applying and legally authorized to sign the documents on behalf, 3 additional pages will appear: a legal questionnaire, certificate of non-involvement in Russia and Belarus, and a certificate of application. If the individual is not employed by the organization that's applying or is not legally authorized to sign the documents, you'll be required to download 3 PDF forms that must be signed and then uploaded, those versions uploaded to the website by the authorized representative. In this section, you'll be asked several legal questions and the questionnaire for the applicant registered business. This page will only be visible if the individual filling out the application is employed by the organization that is applying for the program and is an authorized representative. In this section, we'll be collecting on the certification of non-involvement and prohibited activities in Russia and Belarus. This is in addition to the individual entrepreneur's certification of non-involvement in prohibited activities in Russia and Belarus. And again, this page will only be visible for the individual filling out the application is employed by the organization that's applying. This page, the certification of application, again, will be only available if the person applying is an authorized representative of the organization, the certification of application. And here, this will be visible if the individual is not employed, so you will be able to click the orange links and download the legal questionnaire, the Belarus and Russia prohibited activities certification, and the application certifications. That would then move you to the fee acknowledgement, where you would again acknowledge there is a $1,000 fee. You'd be able to pay by credit card. Again, please be sure that the locker would be located within the food desert community using our mapping tool, and the amount due would be $1,000. You'd then be asked to sign electronically and submit, and then come to the submission page, I should say. Once you do that and fill out this information, you will submit your application. What will happen at that point, unless it's very important back in the beginning that you make sure your email address is correct and in there, you will receive an email verifying that you paid the application fee and giving you a confirmation code. And some key reminders that will come up. This will all be available on the website as well, but you can always go to our website at njeda.com/FRIDG. You can email us with questions as well as ask them here at customercare@njeda.com. You can call us at the number here or use our customer chat on eda.com and www.njeda.com. The PowerPoint presentation will be posted on our website along with the recording of the webinar, which will be up sometime after April 24th. So now, if there are any questions, I'll ask Rucha and Riley Edwards, who's also helping with this presentation, if there are any questions coming in. Again, use the Q&A feature on here, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So.
And we have one question from a participant, and their question is, does the device need to be 100% located within a food desert community?
Yes,
so,
it would. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it would have to be within the, completely within the food desert community. On there, again, using the mapping tool on the website should be relatively easy to designate that.
And what we would recommend is that when you do decide a location within the food desert community, please use our map to put in that address to see if it is on the border, just over the border. So if it is across the street, that is not within the food desert community, that site becomes ineligible. The map does allow you to put in the address and see exactly where within the food desert community the selected site is.
Yeah, and also if there is any question whatsoever, please reach out to us at customercare@njeda.com. Yeah, and we can would be happy to answer any questions. No.
And we have another question. How can hardware and software service providers support this program?
How can hardware and software providers
support this program?
Oh, support this program, not afford support. I'm sorry. That's right. Support if actually if it's an equipment manufacturer, is make it known to New Jersey retailers that you're offering this type of equipment, and on that front. Again, we're not providing a list of certified vendors of any sort, so it would be up to the retailer to reach out to those organizations and companies to make those purchases. And again, if anyone has any additional questions that you think of afterwards or when you're filling out the application, please feel free to send them to customercare@njeda.com.